Okay, Dan, since the Bears lost their third game in a row, I have been thinking a lot about the word bittersweet. So I wanted to look up the definition of bittersweet. It is something that is pleasant, but including or marked by elements of suffering or regret. I would say that pretty much defines that Bears loss against the 49ers. He's Dan, I'm Dionne. We're trying to bring clarity to a 3-game losing streak where, your franchise quarterback was incredible on 4th and 1 on a touchdown run that has made everybody blind to the losing.
Yeah, no question. There's a lot to filter through there because there's the losing and then there's Justin Fields and then there's Justin Fields and then there's the losing. I don't know if you're a Big Head Todd fan, but you obviously come from the same era. Bittersweet, right? Great song by Big Head Todd. We could play that. We could find a soundtrack of that and maybe you can sing it at the end when we get out of here, or I will. But that loss, 33-22, I walked out of Soldier Field on Sunday night thinking, man, this was a winnable home game against a struggling opponent that hadn't beaten anybody else in 42 days, right? And you had the game in your reach in the second half. You led at halftime. You had an opportunity after Fields' magical run to sort of sink your claws in the game and produce that like spark win, right? That victory that gets the wheels turning, and they didn't. The defense fell apart. The offense didn't do enough, and here we are. I'm all for praising the development of Justin Fields. I'm all for saying that 4th and 1 run was magical. I'm all for saying his touchdown pass to Jesse James was a high-level throw in the first half as he rolls to his left against the grain, manages to show the athleticism and the arm strength and the mechanical skills on the move, not set to put that ball where only Jesse James could catch it. There's some wonderful things to draw from in Justin Fields' development here. He runs the ball for more than 100 yards. That's notable. Hopefully that slows down opposing pass rushes in the weeks ahead and makes him a little bit more comfortable in the pocket, allows the game to slow down and allows him to see some things. There's a lot to love here. I can't get past the losing streak, which isn't over. The Bears are going to Pittsburgh on Monday night for a game that, if they lose, sends them into a bye, which then brings them back out of the bye with a home game against Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, against a defense that can't stop the run now. Oh my God, we could be looking at a third consecutive season where a losing streak stretches out close to 40 plus days here, right? And that's a disaster for the entire organization, no matter how much growth Justin Fields shows.
I cannot get on board. I'm sorry. I cannot get on board with simply losing in the name of development. I mean, I agree. It is
exciting. You can do both, right? Especially in games like Sundays.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, that is what I think would make that would have been that moment where everybody thought, okay, we're gonna be okay. We're gonna survive. And it doesn't feel that way because the defense dropped the ball. Like, literally, they didn't hold up their end of the bargain. Now, I get it. There was no Khalil Mack. I understand that. Eddie Jackson got injured right away. I understand that. But this is supposed to be a dominant defense at like the top of their game, and they're just not. They are preaching that, but it's just not happening. And they're not able to stop the run. They weren't able to stop what San Francisco was trying to do. They get this huge spark, stadium wide from Justin Fields in that touchdown run. And then there was no carryover, and that's disappointing. And what did we hear from Ogletree this week when we said, why was that? And he said, missed tackles, like fundamental. They knew what they weren't doing. And that's, I think, where it's so disappointing, where it's hard to even say, wow, that was really awesome. We saw 2 great plays from our quarterback. We still lost by double digits. Like, I can't marry the two.
At home to an ordinary opponent. Jimmy Garoppolo threw for more than 300 yards, ran for 2 touchdowns. Elijah Mitchell has over 100 yards rushing and basically carries a wall of Bears defenders with him into the end zone in the second half on a key touchdown run. You've got Deebo Samuel breaking loose for 83 yards on 3rd and 19, Dionne. That's the play that changed the entire afternoon, right? And so Alec Ogletree, I thought, was very honest and candid and to the point earlier this week in talking to us about how, man, we gave up too many big plays, and what big plays do is they give a opposing offense life, right? It gives you belief. It gives you energy. It gives you momentum. I pressed back on him and said, well, your quarterback came and gave you that belief and that energy and the momentum back when he makes that 4th down touchdown run that brings Soldier Field to life like it hasn't been alive in 2 years, right? Maybe 3 years, maybe back to 2018, if we're really being honest here. And yet what happened coming out of that? The Bears defense gave up a 5-play, 75-yard touchdown drive with little resistance on any of those 5 plays. And you say, man, this is a problem. Dionne, I had people coming at me on social media this week saying, you need to blow out the coaching staff. You need to redo the front office. Your defense is aging and you're going to have to rebuild there. But Justin Fields played well. So, hey, everything's great, right? And you go, what now? Like,
No.
Justin Fields could be the best quarterback in the history of football, and if there's nothing else around him, nothing's happening.
No.
Take a look at what the Houston Texans have done with Deshaun Watson, right? Obviously, he's got his own things going on this year and beyond, but everyone admitted that at the end of last year, it takes more than a game-changing quarterback who plays at MVP levels to lift your franchise to where it needs to go. So you can't just say none of this other stuff matters. Does it matter less than the development of Justin Fields? Probably, but it still matters on a significant level that is going to change the way your organization goes into 2022, right? You may not have any of the same coaches or any of the same front office decision makers calling the shots anymore if things continue to fall apart.
On Monday, a still quarantined Matt Nagy was asked to specify exactly where he thinks this offense has gotten better, like tangibly better. And 4.5 minutes later, I think he said they've been more consistent in the run. I think he wasn't even able to pinpoint it. That's where I go back to. That's great that Justin Fields can do more things, but everything around him has to support him to make this a team effort. And I don't think Nagy's going to be around to see what happens next and how
there's people out there that will celebrate that, right? You know that there's people that if Matt Nagy was launched tomorrow, there's a section of the city and a section of the fan base that would throw a ticker tape parade down on Michigan Avenue for that because they want a new start regardless. But to your point.
Well, what I'm saying is this was never a insert quarterback and win team. This was never that. It was never that with Mitch Trubisky. It was not. It's not that now. It was not even insert consistent kicker and win as people thought in 2018. There is more going on here that needs to be fixed before they will be able to win at a consistent level. Heck, this offense can't even string together big plays right now. We're talking about 2 or 3 that pop out, but you don't see them in the same drive. They're not happening together like that. They're not 5 plays, 75 yards. That's not happening for this team.
That was my other point, was this idea that Justin Fields played well on Sunday. They still scored 2 touchdowns, right? In an NFL football game, they scored 2 touchdowns. Let's raise the bar here. Let's stop being impressed in Chicago with ordinary performances. And that's got to happen more regularly from everyone involved. That's fans, that's ownership, that's media. You got to raise the bar and not prop up things that are pretty basic on a level that make them seem like they're special. I've said all week, look, there's a difference between a special play and a special performance. There's a difference between a special performance and a special player. Justin Fields has steps to make. I feel very good about where he's at this stage of his development. There's nothing he's shown me that gives me any sense of anxiety or worry that his development is off track or that he's going to be in trouble. I think the kid is headstrong. I think he's confident. We've obviously seen the athleticism and the ability to kind of weather a game and do some different things that allow you to believe that others are going to rally around him, right? And you hear defensive players talk about that touchdown run and the life it gave them. To your point, there's a lot more to this, and the Bears have so much to fix. And again, this losing streak is not over. It promises to extend out. It could go to Thanksgiving or beyond, Dionne. And then what are we doing? Everyone's going to be screaming at each other. You're going to be on this show screaming at me. I've told you I've got a short fuse. I'm going to be screaming at you. It's going to be problems for everyone.
The holidays are ruined. It's all over. But honestly, Dan, at the beginning of the season, I picked them to win 6 games.
Okay.
And they're halfway there and halfway through the season. Like, I don't think I'm that far off. And that's what makes it so depressing. This losing streak is not over. Nothing will be fixed. Now, is it winnable on Monday night? I think so. I mean, I don't think anyone outside of Hallis Hall believes so. I think it can be winnable, but not the way that they've been playing. Certainly not. They have to score more than 14 points. They have to kind of climb out of that basement as the stellar team in the offensively in the league. Like, they are the worst. And that isn't boding well. They're a worse team on the road.
Right. You think about these road losses. I mean, start with LA, Cleveland, Tampa. Life on the road hasn't been pretty. They obviously have the momentous win against the Raiders in Vegas, but beyond that, it has been a bleep show. These road games so far. And I don't know. I just, there's a lot here. I do think, to your point about Nagy taking so long to answer that question about where he's seen noticeable improvement, he should have a daily script ready to be highlighting that. If you're fighting for your job and you want to convince the outside world and your bosses that you deserve to have your job in 2022, every day you should be saying, listen, guys, go back through that film, watch Justin's footwork, watch his rhythm, watch his timing, look at this throw, watch this play here. And then highlight that as being a byproduct of your coaching staff's work and game planning and weekly development and skills work and all those other things that tell people, okay, we've got this under control, and we're going to take this kid to the next level. To be unprepared for that at this stage, given what Matt is facing, yikes, he better be on point going forward and be able to articulate a lot more clearly than he's articulated anything in a press conference at any point this year.
I do hate to point out the obvious, but that 4th and 1 touchdown run, arguably the best play of his early career, happened after a week that Matt Nagy wasn't around. I mean, I hate to point that out, but it's true. So no wonder he stammered and stuttered through that, right? Like the best we've seen of Justin Fields happened when he was in quarantine, we think, somewhere. We don't know. I mean, it just adds to that like layer of distrust with him and like wondering what his impact really will be or has been, even if they make a change there. Like, is Justin still going to be able to be the quarterback he wants to be without Matt Nagy? I think so.
By the way, there was also some confusion coming out of the huddle on that 4th and 1 play that took the originally designed play and essentially blew it up on the Bears. It's been hard to figure out whether Justin didn't basically articulate the play call in a way that got guys aligned in the right way. But essentially it created confusion for 2 tight ends and Darnell Mooney, and guys were scrambling around, and it essentially allowed the 49ers to take away what would have been an easy completion for the first down, which that's high level quarterbacking, is just being able to make the layups, right? Justin missed the layup. The ball got batted around. He shot out to the 3-point line, got fouled, hit a 3-pointer, falling away onto the scorer's table, right? And it was sweet and it was electrifying. But still, you got to be able to make sure you execute on 4th and 1 at a level that's much more sharp and precise than they were. And you got to go back and find the whys on why that play was confused from the start, right? And got mixed up. And so there's things within this development that are very nuanced. Again, I want to express to people, because I think I get a reputation as being too negative or not allowing fans to have hope and excitement.
It's called realistic, Dan. You're
That's it. And it's just keeping the hope and the excitement at the level that is supposed to be at. Because I've watched this city get out over its skis. I've watched them have unrealistic hope and excitement. And when those goals aren't met, all of a sudden everyone goes into rage mode, and that's not healthy. It's just not. So I'm protecting our audience for up the road by trying to keep things measured and where they need to be on, I guess today is November 4th, 2021.
It's such a roller coaster from Sunday to Sunday, or in this case, Sunday to Monday, giving us an extra day. It is with the fans. It is such a roller coaster that you're right. It isn't healthy. It's extreme highs and extreme lows. And it is hard to navigate as a Bears fan, like how to feel, because you're craving that consistent winning so long. You're craving that confidence that comes with knowing your team can step on the field and be intimidating. And instead they're playing somewhat intimidated, and they're not getting over that hump of progress that makes you feel good about where they're at. And yes, getting Justin Fields is awesome, and having him be your starter is wonderful. And seeing that progress, man, kid is tough as nails. He is tough as he takes some hits that I'm just like, oh my gosh. And he gets up every single time. He is so tough. And I think that says a lot to his teammates. I think he's growing in his leadership, but it's the leadership around him. This is what we've talked about so much. Like, do they have the right people around him? And at this moment in time, it's hard to say that they do.
Yeah, no question about it. And look, like I had a friend ask me, and I'll pitch this question to you. He said, is it ever a drain covering a different version of the same story covering the Bears? And I said, drain is like a great word for this, because yes, at times it is a drain, because you are just, and I've said this on the radio, it's like riding this rickety carousel that just goes in a circle, right? And you're just like around and around, and you just wind up in the same place, and you never really see anything great. And you're just like, what is this? What is this? And so, I mean, take that question and tell me how you feel. I mean, that is longer than I have.
That is quite accurate, because it does feel like, haven't I told this story before? Haven't we talked about this before? Haven't I said that they're hoping to snap out of it 1,000 times? And it's true. Like that's the storyline that accompanies this team and accompanies covering this team on a regular basis. And that is where it gets frustrating. You have like these moments where you think the story is going to go this way, and it all ends up going in that same route. And I appreciate the ricketiness of that carousel or Ferris wheel or whatever we're on, because it doesn't feel stable. It doesn't feel sustainable. This cannot continue. And I think that's what we're feeling covering the team, but I think that's what fans are feeling too, that this is not sustainable. We can't continue to do this, because now we're not contending for another year, however long it's going to be since we've won a playoff game.
Yeah, and to our earlier point, at the time that Justin Fields is ready to play championship level football, what does the team around him look like? And who are the guys that are on this current team that are positioned to be stars when Justin Fields becomes a potential star? There's not many of them, and that's a problem. Want to tie a bow on Halloween, because we talked about this last week with our costumes. I'm curious, in the bucket of candy that wound up back at your estate, what is the one or two things that you're rating when the kids are asleep and they're not looking?
Oh my gosh, I'm so boring. Tootsie Pops,
Oh,
Tootsie
God.
Rolls, any
That's
kind
an
of
old
Tootsie
school
Roll,
one.
any kind of Tootsie Pop. I like casually throw them in my work bag, like they don't see it, and then they just happen to be with me. And York peppermint patties, those are likes to raid more of the Twix, Kit Kat, Snickers, mini Snickers, because they can't take peanuts to school, so I can't put Snickers in their lunch. So those are the ones that tend to get left behind.
All right, so Twix has been put off limits at our house by my son. He will not let us touch them.
He drew the line.
He literally counted the number of Twix bars that he picked up, several full size, a bunch of fun size, and he knows the count, and he will not let me take them. He will not let his little sister take them. So Snickers is there for me. I'm a 365-day-a-year peanut M&M addict, so I'm reaching deep in the jar there to grab those. Those have been good. And then every once in a while, really, the one candy that I only eat around Halloween time is Butterfinger, right? Never get a Butterfinger at any other point of the year, but happy to snag one out of the Halloween bin and go for it. Yeah,
no. So for me, it's always Tootsie Rolls. The only candy bar that I want for myself are the Three Musketeers. I know.
Oh, really?
So small and real light.
Man, you got some weird tastes. You gave us Peeps last week, and now you're going to the Three Musketeers.
Candy corn. Well, and I was. It's not lost on me that I was at a store that will remain nameless the other day, looking at like what's left from Halloween. The only candy that is 50 to 70% off is candy corn. Like that's the only one left.
My 10-year rant. The candy bar that I get, on the road, stopping at a gas station, like I'm going to grab one of these. Whatchamacallit doesn't make fun-sized candy bars. I've been ranting on this for a decade. What candy company doesn't make a size of candy that is for the biggest candy holiday of the entire calendar? It feels like a total missed opportunity. It's really frustrating to me. I've never gotten an answer. I think ABC7 needs to do an investigation.
I will call the I-team. Jason Knowles is on it. Figuring out why whatchamacallits don't make a small. Do they not know you have a short fuse? Like, why would they not accommodate you in this moment?
That's a great call. But thankfully, we were able to steer this conversation back to something that's a little bit more fun. And obviously,
can we tag them in this YouTube? Like, who makes it?
Probably.
We gotta get to the bottom of that.
Part of the I-team, right? Like we got to find the I-team. Got to find the lines. That's the on Dan. We'll catch you after Monday Night Football. See, that's fun.
That is fun. Good job. Way to